Hey there, reality surfers. Sebastian here, ready to take you on another mind-bending journey through the quantum realms of existence. In our last episode, we explored the wild idea that our reality might be a cosmic computer program. Today, we're going to push even further into the bizarre. We're going to talk about multiple universes, the multiverse, and how every choice you make might be creating new realities. Now, I know what you're thinking. Sebastian, multiple universes? That's straight out of sci-fi. And you're not wrong. The idea of parallel worlds has been a staple of science fiction for decades. But here's the kicker, it's also a serious scientific hypothesis, one that arises naturally from some of our best theories about how the universe works. So buckle up, because we're about to take a roller coaster ride through the multiverse. Let's start with a simple question. What if I told you that every decision you've ever made, from what you had for breakfast this morning to whether you decided to listen to this podcast, has split reality into multiple branches? That somewhere out there there's a version of you that made different choices and is living a completely different life? It sounds crazy, right? But this idea, known as the many worlds interpretation of quantum mechanics, is taken seriously by many physicists. And to understand why, we need to revisit something we talked about in our first episode. The observer effect. Remember how we said that quantum particles exist in a state of superposition? Essentially, multiple states at once, until they're observed, and how the act of observation seems to collapse this superposition into a single definite state. Well, the many worlds interpretation suggests that this collapse is an illusion. Instead of the superposition collapsing into a single reality, it proposes that every possible outcome actually happens, each in its own separate universe. Let that sink in for a moment. Every time a quantum event could have multiple outcomes, reality splits. And since our world is built on quantum events happening constantly, that means reality is continuously branching into countless parallel universes. Now, you might be thinking, okay, but what does this have to do with my choices? I'm not a quantum particle, and you're right, you're not. But you're made up of trillions of them. And every decision you make, every action you take, involves countless quantum events in your brain and body. So in this view, when you decided to listen to this podcast, you didn't just make a choice. You split reality. In one universe, you're listening to me right now. In another, you decided to go for a walk instead. In yet another, you're reading a book. And all of these universes are equally real. I know it's a lot to wrap your head around, so let's take a step back and look at where this idea came from. The many worlds interpretation was first proposed by physicist Hugh Everett in 1957. It was his attempt to solve one of the biggest puzzles in quantum mechanics, the measurement problem. Essentially, how do we reconcile the weird probabilistic behavior of quantum particles with the definite, singular reality we experience? Previous interpretations, like the Copenhagen interpretation, suggested that observation somehow causes quantum states to collapse into a single reality. But Everett asked, what if there is no collapse? What if all possibilities play out just in different universes? This idea solves a lot of problems in quantum mechanics. It gets rid of the need for some mysterious collapse process that no one can explain. It preserves the beautiful symmetry of the quantum equations. And it aligns with a core principle of physics, conservation of information. In the many worlds view, no information is ever lost. It's just shunted off into other universes. But the implications of this idea are staggering. It means that anything that can happen does happen in some universe. Every time you flip a coin, the universe splits in 2-1, where it lands heads, one where it lands tails. Every time you make a decision, no matter how small, you're creating new universes. Now, I can almost hear some of you protesting. But Sebastian, if new universes are being created all the time, wouldn't that require an infinite amount of energy? Where does it all come from? That's a great question, and it gets to the heart of one of the biggest misconceptions about the many worlds interpretation. The key is to understand that these new universes aren't really being created from scratch. They're more like different configurations of the same underlying reality. Think of it like this. Imagine reality is like a giant, multi-dimensional tapestry. The many worlds interpretation doesn't say we're constantly creating new tapestries. Instead, it suggests that what we perceive as our universe is just one thread in this vast cosmic weave. When we talk about reality branching, we're really talking about our consciousness moving along different threads of this pre-existing tapestry. But the many worlds interpretation isn't the only game in town when it comes to multiple universes. In cosmology, there's another kind of multiverse theory, one that arises from ideas about the Big Bang and cosmic inflation. The idea goes something like this. Our universe began with the Big Bang, a period of incredibly rapid expansion. But what if this expansion never stopped? What if, beyond the borders of our observable universe, space is still expanding, giving rise to other Big Bangs, other universes? This idea, known as the inflationary multiverse, suggests that our universe might be just one bubble in a vast, ever-expanding foam of universes. Each of these universes might have different physical laws, different constants, different dimensions even. And here's where it gets really wild. Some physicists have suggested that these different types of multiverse might be connected. Maybe the quantum multiverse of many worlds and the cosmic multiverse of eternal inflation are actually the same thing, viewed from different perspectives. Imagine that a multiverse of multiverses. Every choice you make not only splits your personal timeline, but creates entire new cosmic bubbles, each with its own set of physical laws and constants. Now, I know we've ventured pretty far into the theoretical here. So let's bring it back down to earth for a moment. What does all this mean for us in our day-to-day lives? Well, for one thing, it puts an interesting spin on the idea of regret. In the many worlds view, every choice you didn't make, every path you didn't take, they all happened, just in other universes. The you that asked out your high school crush, they exist. The you that took that dream job across the country, they're out there too. But far from making our choices meaningless, I'd argue this makes them more important than ever. Because while all possibilities may exist somewhere, you're the one crafting this particular thread of reality. You're the author of this version of your story. And here's another mind-bending thought. If the multiverse theory is correct, then in some sense, anything you can imagine is real. There's a universe out there where you're a rock star, or the president, or a dolphin trainer. There's a universe where humans have colonized the stars, and one where we never left the Stone Age. But don't go thinking this means you can just wish your way to a better life. Remember, you're experiencing this particular thread of reality. The choices you make here and now are what shape your lived experience. Now, you might be wondering, if all these other universes exist, can we ever access them? Could we hop from one reality to another? Well, in the many worlds interpretation, the answer is a pretty firm no. These other universes are causally disconnected from ours. We can't interact with them or travel to them. But that hasn't stopped some scientists from speculating. There are fringe theories that suggest phenomena like déjà vu or false memories might be leakage from other universes. And some have even proposed that quantum computers might be able to perform calculations by slightly interacting with their counterparts in other universes. And here's a really wild idea some physicists have suggested, that if the multiverse theory is correct, it might have implications for the idea of life after death. The argument goes like this: if there are infinite universes, then there must be universes where your consciousness continues after your body dies in this one. It's a form of quantum immortality. Now, I want to be clear, this is highly speculative stuff. We're way out on the fringes of physics here. But it shows just how profound the implications of multiverse theory can be. As we wrap up our multiversal tour, I want to leave you with a thought experiment. The next time you're faced with a decision, whether it's as small as what to have for lunch, or as big as whether to take a new job, take a moment to imagine all the potential use that might spring from that choice. Imagine entire universes blossoming from that single moment of decision. How does that change how you approach the choice? Does it make you more careful in your decisions, knowing each one splits reality? Or does it make you more adventurous, knowing that in some universe, every possibility plays out? In the end, whether the multiverse is real or not, the idea serves as a powerful reminder of the importance of our choices and the wonder of possibility. It encourages us to imagine, to dream, to consider roads not taken. Because in the vast tapestry of existence, every thread, including yours, is unique and precious. As always, we've only scratched the surface of this mind-bending topic. In our next episode, we'll explore another fascinating idea, the concept of time as an illusion, and how our perception of past, present, and future might be a construct of our consciousness. But until then, keep questioning, keep exploring, and remember, in this or any universe, you're the author of your own story. Make it a good one. This is Sebastian, and you've been listening to The Quantum Observer. Until next time, stay curious, and may all your quantum outcomes be favorable.